Hey, what's going on YouTube? Alabama Reloader here. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through some of our initial results on this 25-06 project that I'm working on and show you some factory ammunition results. This stuff right here, the Hornady Super Performance 117 grain SST. Show you some of that, show you some of the hand loads so far that I've tried, and then sort of the direction that we're gonna go, right? Because up until this point, the results haven't been stellar. They haven't been terrible, but at the same time, they haven't been amazing either. So when I first picked up, it's the Ruger M77, go back, watch the project kickoff video. Ruger M77 Hawkeye, a really sweet looking rifle. I'm a big fan of it. And stand by. All right. So sorry about the break in the action. Had a one of those guys, you know how you have them folks pull up in your driveway and they're like, hey, we can seal your driveway today. We'll cut you a smoking deal, you know, but we gotta do it today. We ain't gonna seal it any other time. We got a deal for you today. That was that guy. He pulled up. A nice guy. I mean, you know, I know that's how he makes a living. So, but it's just, yeah. It's one of those deals where, you know, I know, and they probably do a really good job, right? Probably would. And my driveway could probably use it for sure. My driveway's looking a little rough. Could probably use it, but, you know, I ain't got the extra cash to spare, man. Not when you got to buy all this stuff. So back to what I was talking about. In the 25-06, the groups haven't been stellar. They haven't been absolutely awful either. They've been slightly better than what I'm seeing from the factory ammunition. So it is an improvement. It's just not, it's not as tight as I would like to see. So we'll kind of walk through the factory ammo stuff first. Again, this is that Hornady Super Performance 117 grain SST load. I've already shown this this target to you guys. Go back, watch the kickoff video, and I talk about this target. Obviously, these groups are pretty nasty, probably 3-inch, maybe larger, 5-shot groups. And what I did, I was able to capture velocity data as well, since I'm using the Garmin Chronograph. Shout out to Reloading Quest, my buddy Zach over there. Extruded Customs on Etsy, that's his page, where he sells that Garmin box. So that's pretty awesome. Let's see, and you can see the velocity numbers are pretty awful, right? SD 17, that's not terrible. This one was 38, and then I went back, shot another 5-shot group out of the same box, and the SD was even worse. I can't remember what it was, but it was, I mean, I think it might have been in the 50s, the SD was. And then, so that was the 15 rounds that I'd shot so far. Today, after today's range trip, came back, and the group was pretty similar in size in terms of garbage. So today, went back out, shot this 5-shot group, which this comes in outside to outside, it's just over 2 inches. So that's actually the best 5-shot group that I shot with that ammunition, just over 2 inches, which again, this will kill a deer all day long. You know, at the distances that my buddy is gonna shoot, or it's actually his daughter's gun. So at the distances she's gonna shoot, this will kill a deer all day long, right? And what was funny about it is right now, the SD overall, if you average all 15 shots together, so the 3 5-shot groups thus far, the SD is sitting somewhere like 42 or something. It's pretty bad. In today's 5-shot group, the SD was like 4 or 5. So that's that amount of variation. That's why I'm saying something's going on, I think, with this particular lot. It's 3192190. Again, if you guys have this particular lot number of this factory ammunition I would love to know what you're getting in terms of velocity results, because the velocity for that box is all over the place. Now I have another box and a half, and all three are different lot numbers, so I do plan on doing more testing with the factory ammunition just to see if something's going on with that, so stay tuned for that. For the hand loads that I've tried so far, coffee break, if you'll remember, I'm using this Barnes head stamped brass. This is stuff that I picked up from my buddy Sandy, so really appreciate him hooking me up with all that brass way back when, because it is definitely come in handy for this project. So get this target out of the way. That's one I shot today. So this is the target, and I hate shooting this type of paper. It tears so easily, but I'm out of these fancy targets that I get from I think it's Box to Bench Precision. I don't have any more of those. I need to order some. Those are my favorite targets to shoot, but I don't have any more. And so I threw some of this paper up here on my target stand. And it's just, I hate shooting this paper because it tears so easily. And so you know, it can be difficult to determine exact group size. But anyway, down here on the bottom is what we're really focused on. Shooting the 90 grain GMX with H4831. And I was getting some really, really crazy velocity numbers. And so something, I think, at least talking back and forth with Zach, again from Reloading Quest, you know, something's going on with the velocity or the load data for Hornady and their 25-06 data, at least on the 90 grain GMX, because something just seems off. I was, you know, I've mentioned it in the videos in the past that I've done so far. I was 1.8 grains below their max data, and I was already like 200 feet per second above. I think on their max, I think they go to 3,100 with H4831, and I was at 3,300, right? So I'm already, you know, 200 feet per second faster, and I'm 1.8 grains below their max. So something's going on there with that data. And I know burn rates vary over time. I got it. I don't think it varies that much where I'm going to gain that much velocity and the charge weight not even be close to the max, right? So for whoever wants to comment about that, I don't think that's the case. But the 90 grain GMX, this is what I was shooting down here. This is the, it's like 53.5, 54, 54.5, 55, and then 55.5. And so what you can tell from this target, it's not much, right? Because the problem was my initial point of aim and my point of impact, this group obviously was pretty terrible at 53.5. And then at 54, right, because we were hitting a little bit to the right. Well, at 54, it kind of came back to the left some. And again, group size was pretty bad. And then here at 54.5 and 55, you see it actually the 54.5 grain group, it's these guys right here, it's these five. So it actually tightened up quite a bit compared to the previous two groups. But then when I tried 55, now my point of impact, you know, I was aiming here, my point of impact shifted left and floated into this group. So that's something's going on there. It's a little weird to see that type of point of impact shift, because then when I went to 55.5, I'm right back pretty much centered up, but the group was not that great. So yeah, I don't know, just kind of odd. Oh, and the 55 grain group, so it had these four, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. That was the fifth one, way out here to the right. So again, something's weird because you got these 5, these 4, and then that one there, and then 55.5 came back more centered. So I don't know, something weird is going on there. And then the velocity was weird as well. Those were some of my worst SDs, were right in this range, even though they were my best groups. So there you go, positive compensation, folks. there's you something to talk about. But so the 90 grain GMX and H4831, we're not going to mess with that powder anymore. We're going to switch powders, keep the same bullet, switch powders. We're going to go with Reloader 22. I've got a pound of that. I want to see how it shoots. This group, this is where I transitioned over and started with the McGuire Ballistics 95 grain copper rose bullet. That's a 5-shot group. That's with 53.5 grains of H4831. That came in, it's like 1.2 inches. So not bad at all there, 5-shot group. And then I shot the rest of them on this target. So this is 54 grains. Don't pay any attention to these guys and these three. This is a 5-shot group that was pretty bad for a different cartridge altogether. So you can see here, it's coming in at like outside to outside is like 1.8. You know, it comes in just under 2 inches. So it's probably more close to like a 1 3/4 inch group, center to center. Again, not great. That was the 54 grain load that I tested, 54.5. This was one of the better groups. This was somewhere about 1.5 inches, a little less than 1.5 inches. So again, not bad at all. Then 55, opened back up, not that great. Again, maybe around 1.8. Outside to outside, so something along those lines. Not super great. And then 55.5, similar. Again, probably 1 3/4 inch group. So definitely coming in under the factory load that I've been testing, but not stellar performance out of this powder and then these 2 different bullets that I've tested so far in this gun. So oh yeah, and these are, like I said, that's for a different cartridge altogether. So where does that leave us? Well, I'm glad you asked. Like I said, I want to test some more with the other factory stuff and the 117s. Let's see. Yeah, these are the McGuire Ballistics, the copper rose. I've got a very limited number of these. I only had 50, so these things are sweet. But my plan is to just load up the remaining 25. I plan to load those up probably with this 55.5 grain load. I'll just load that and give them to them as far as an additional option for hunting ammo. That's not going to be the primary, but obviously that'll get the job done all day long. The velocity was somewhere around 30-50 with this, and the SD on that group was 6, like 6.4. SDs were actually pretty good. They were 11, 6, 14, and 6. So not bad. I think they'll, obviously they'll be perfectly adequate for hunting. So that's the plan with this guy. I'm just going to load up the remaining 25, and that'll be one set of hunting ammo. I'll shoot 5 more once I identify another load that I want to give to him as well. And then I'll shoot 5 and make sure the scope is zeroed and everything's good to go for both loads. Make sure our point of impact is the same. That way I can turn them over to them and say, hey, here you go. Now you have nothing to worry about. You can grab anything out of this box and you're going to be perfectly fine. One thing I did want to add to the testing, here's those GMX. They're 90 grain, these are 95s. I did pick up these, some 100 grain tip TSX. So I'm going to try these, see how they do. I've got, let's see, I looked at the Barnes data, and they have data using Reloader 19, which I don't have Reloader 19, but I have the Midwest Powders equivalent of Reloader 19 that I've actually already done some testing with over in 243, and it seems pretty similar, almost identical to Reloader 19 data in terms of the performance I was getting over there. So I plan on using that for the Barnes load. So I'm gonna try it out, see how these guys shoot. If not, then I will switch back to the 90 grain GMX and I will simply try some Reloader 22, see if we can get these guys to shoot a little more accurately, and then go from there. So that's kind of where we stand with 25-06. You know, really hoping we would have had better performance, especially out of the McGuire Ballistics. I'm a huge fan of that bullet, so I was just kind of hoping we'd have a little better performance, but it seems like it was on par or a little better than that 90 grain GMX, you know, with the same powder. So we'll see how these barns do. Hopefully they'll shoot some pretty good groups maybe and go from there. So that's it. That's the progress. That's where we're at. I need to get, this is the last of the brass that hasn't been fired yet. This stuff is just that once fired brass. So I need to get this stuff sized, get all the brass prep done to it, get them primed, drop some powder, and yeah, load them up and go see how they do. I'll probably load, let's see, these 25. I'll do these 25 for the McGuire Ballistics. I'll just go ahead and load those up, have those done and out of the way. And then these other 21, I'll probably actually do some velocity. Yeah, I'll probably do some velocity tests with these barns. I'll probably load up maybe five. Probably just load up 5 and jump like 1 grain in my charge weights and just see what the velocities look like to see if that Midwest powder is going to be comparable to Reloader 19 in this cartridge. So, all right, that's it. Enough rambling. This is a long enough video. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll catch you next time. Y'all have a good one.